We have lost him to Metallica. Schultze's in there. What's up, Schultze?
Hey, happy Friday. What's up, sports fans? Yeah. Got football in.
Yeah.
Some basketball if anybody cares. No one cares.
Arizona's playing Duke tonight, I saw. That's cool.
That would get my betting pants a little bit tight. Yeah.
Do you know the spread?
No.
Yeah, I don't. Well, since we can't bet on college, I don't know. You just blew my mind. I'm like, I should start looking at college basketball point spreads.
I mean, I asked you
but
guys.
We can't bet it, so.
If you were D-Gens on Monday, but now this is actually a matchup you would want to bet. You just can't.
It seems like a good game. I don't know, 12 versus 2 anyway. You're right. A lot of sports. And, hey, we're turn and burn today. We have Ducks basketball coming up at 5:30, so we have to move some stuff around. Joey Harrington, who normally joins us at 5:30, is going to be moved up to 3:30. So in 30 minutes, it will be our weekly visit with Joey Harrington, and he will we'll find out from him where his worry meter is for the USC game, which we'll talk about here momentarily. But yeah, Big Sook has left us for Metallica in Detroit. I'm not sure why he's a big Metallica guy.
I knew he was a big Metallica guy, but what about Detroit?
Yeah, I don't know.
City of Detroit calling Sook's name.
It's a weird one. Well, Sook, as you know, I don't know. Like there's something kind of untrustworthy about him, right? It's like he's like a criminal at heart, but so in other words, what I'm getting at is like larceny is in him. So maybe Detroit calls him. You know,
because it's so full of criminals.
No, he's got a buddy that runs Metallica shows, and they're there, and apparently I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, that makes me jealous, honestly. If I had a buddy that ran Michael Bublé shows, you bet your ass I'd be missing quite a few more shows.
Let's go.
To be doing that. Absolutely.
Yeah, so he's a huge, for those who don't know, Big Sook, he's a big, huge Metallica guy. And he's seen them 8,000 times and now make it 8,001 and 2 because he'd be gone Monday as well. So I think he's seeing 2 shows. I don't know whether it's Saturday night, Sunday night, or Friday night, Saturday night, but he's going to 2 of them there in Detroit with his lady. So we'll hold down the fort, Schultze. We got this.
Are you a guy that likes to go to like multiple concerts of your favorite groups?
No. As a matter of fact, we've talked about this a million times. Yeah. I'm widely panned for this opinion, Schultze. But
oh God,
I know I'm in the minority, but with movies, concerts, I guess to some extent TV shows, I never watch them or go to them more than once. Like I've already seen it. So I don't really, and that's it's sort of a dumb thing because I get it. It's like music. Like, well, have you listened to songs over and over? Of course. Because it brings you joy and you listen to it again. But I don't know. For some reason, if I watch a movie once, I'm out.
Really?
I likely won't see it again.
Even like during the holidays, like Christmas Vacation, my favorite. I've already watched it twice.
I love Christmas Vacation.
not even Thanksgiving.
And look, I mean, it'll be on, and I'll check it out. But I'm not like I know what happens. Like I don't understand why we need to see it again.
Comfort, fun. I don't know. Sounds like you don't like comfort and fun, Rob.
But see, I think here's what I think it is. I was thinking about this today. Actually, it's interesting you asked me that question because I feel like it comes from a place of, okay, so like let's use Metallica for example. He loves Metallica. That's his band. He's seen them a million times. Now he's going to go see them again. And the show will likely be different, right? So that's, I get it. Different show.
I am not Sook.
New album, maybe? I don't know. For me, it comes from a place of, well, I've already seen them. If I'm going to go see a concert, I want to see someone new. Like, I think it comes from a place of, I only see so many movies and concerts, and so when I do see them, I want to experience something new and different. So I think that's what it is for me. But I know I'm in the minority on this.
No, I get it. I guess it's not like Metallica. They have come out with maybe some new stuff more recently, but it's not like they're coming out with like world-blasting new songs like Taylor Swift every week. I get it. I understand what you're saying. But I don't know. I feel like there's new ways, that different takes on songs. There's so many different things that you can do at a concert. But I see your point of it too. If you spend hundreds of dollars on it once, there's really no reason to go do that again unless you're a super fan.
You know what's weird? The only concert that I've seen multiple times. Do you know who it is?
Kenny G? No, I have no idea.
Kenny G.
Yeah. Yeah, Kenny freaking G, man. You strike me. I love Kenny G. My wife hates him, but you strike me as a lover of the saxophone, dulcet tones of Kenny G.
Oh, I love. Yeah, I mean, I don't think
Hell
I'd ever
yeah.
go see him in concert, but I think that's. Yeah, he's great.
I've seen it. Actually, you should. You and the wife would
Yeah.
love it because he walks around. He makes it very intimate. So,
Does he walk up and down the aisles with his sax?
yeah. Well, it's through the aisles, or like I saw him at Jazz Alley in Seattle, so it was a club, like dinner tables, So it was like, yeah, he's at your table. It was really cool. But no, who have you seen multiple times? Tell me.
Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. I'm serious. That's it. And that's just because my wife always wants to go see them. She loves them.
There you go. Well,
So I'm like, all right, fine, we'll go again. I think we've seen them 3 times.
so that's not even something you want to do. You've done it just
No.
supporting the wifey.
Yeah, I just,
Okay.
you know.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Here's Deal. He says, Vancouver Ford text line 503-864-6326. I'd love to hear Rob's take on sex. Yeah,
What?
I've been there. I get it. Well, he's saying, like, why would you want to do something that's enjoyable again?
Oh, okay. I get.
And I got to be honest with
right
you.
over my head.
Sex, man, it's great, but I mean, it's not like, I don't know. I never understand the people that are just so overly sexed. Like, it's just,
addicted.
oh, yeah, it's like, oh, man, it's everything. Dude, calm down.
I need it every day. You're
There's
just,
other things in the world,
You're not wrong.
I
Ask you, were you this way 20 years ago though? I feel like this is
No.
exactly. This is very man in his 40s. Low T. I'm just kidding.
I'm mid-T. Now, again, you guys got to stop saying that. I am for lowering testosterone levels across the world by 31.6%. I think our world and humanity would be better.
I would agree.
But that does not mean, so I'm against high T. That does not mean I'm pro low T.
Okay. Yeah.
Regular T is great.
Just right.
Right where I am. It's great.
The
High T,
Goldilocks formula on T.
it's a little too much. There's a lot of high T in sports,
You think? Walk into this building, there's a lot of high T.
I
Damn.
know. Yeah, we work in a high T environment here.
Not necessarily a bad thing, but
Well, anyway, that's my take on it. I don't know. Concerts are great, but I only see so many of them. I'd rather see somebody new. And same with movies. But Suk, other way around, he loves Metallica. I think he might have sex with them. I don't know. Not my business.
good.
They're in Detroit, so he'll be back. He'll be back Tuesday. We've got Joey Harrington going early at 3:30, and we've got Ropp in the Bank picks. I'm looking here at the picks last week; they were not good. And by the way, Suk did not leave picks. So,
Did Buck text you any picks this
oh
week?
yeah, Buck has a whole lineup. He
Okay.
has a full card of picks, which we'll get out there during Ropp in the Bank. But Suk did not leave any picks. I think he's feeling a little gun shy. He has not been good recently. He has a losing record. He has lost the most units of any one of the 3 of us, now with you involved.
Well,
the
I
4
lost
of us.
2. I lost 2 games last week.
Yeah, I mean, there's
so.
not one guy that I'm going to say has done anything for anyone on Ropp in the Bank so far.
I mean, I
and
thought
that
Buck-
includes Suk, Buck, me, and you.
I thought Buck was on a hawk streak, but I guess
He was, but he was
okay.
so bad at the start of the year that he's only his record is 31-30.
That's crazy.
Does that tickle you? Big Suk 19-26.
I mean, that's
So he's taking a break this week.
what is it like 54? The Mariners subscription of win percentage.
56% maybe.
Yeah, that is like 54, 56 is what you're aiming for.
Yeah,
I
that
mean,
is the thing about gambling. I was
Yeah.
telling a friend this the other day. It's like, everybody talks about the sharps and what they play and this and that. I'm like, you guys got to realize, man, sharps lose a lot. It's just that over time they bet bigger, they big cash, they big money. They always get the best of the number, and over time they'll win. 55, 56%. That's a profit at their unit levels.
Yeah, when you can
But-
afford to put that much down, yeah, you can
Yeah, it's
afford
like-
the swings.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's like you're going to win some, you're going to lose some, and then there's the middle. Then that middle is what matters, and that's why you got to be disciplined. You got to be good with your numbers, as the sharps always are. I don't know how they do that, but they are.
Bankroll management.
That's right. All that stuff matters. So anyway, we'll Ropp the Bank at 5:15. I'm bringing some heat this week. I'm going against the public. Watch out.
Ooh.
Big public bet that I'm going against because you know me.
I think I'm in the opposite on that exact bet, actually. I know what you're talking about.
So we'll get to that at 5:15, and then we got to turn it over to Ducks basketball. Okay, AAA Heating and Cooling, family business helping families for over 60 years. AAAIAQ.com. They are the sponsor of our poll question. It is on Twitter or X, whatever you call it, at 1080 The Fan. Yesterday, we asked you the lock of the weekend is 44% said the Rutgers, Iowa under 28.5, which is the all-time, it is the lowest over-under total in the history of betting, 28.5. And that's combined score of both teams. So 44% said that's the lock of the weekend. 23% said Oregon minus 15.5 over USC. 21% said Oregon State minus 20.5 over Stanford. And only 12% liked Utah plus 10 at Washington. Today, the question is this, and I just now realized I forgot to put it up there, but we're about to break, so I'm going to go throw it up during the break, and it's going to be this. Who is the cheatinest cheater that ever did cheat? Is it Michigan, the Patriots, the Astros, or Lance Armstrong? I'm going to go throw that up at 1080 The Fan on X. We'll come back and we will talk about, in our next segment, the punishment that was handed down to Jim Harbaugh and Michigan today. If you didn't see it, the Big Ten has already acted, and we will get to that next. The Vancouver Ford text line, 503-864-6326. Your dollar goes further at Vancouver Ford. They treat you right before, during, and after the sale. VancouverFord.com. All right, it is 3:12 on The Fan.
It's The Fan.
Harrington will join us next segment. So he normally joins us on Fridays at 5:30. We're moving it up because we have Ducks basketball later. So if you want to know Joey's thoughts on USC and that game this weekend, then you'll want to keep it here. He'll be on at 3:30. Somebody asked me, they said, real quick on our last segment, they said, you play Langdon Farms and eat at Laurelhurst Market all the time. Please explain. Good point. I would say, though, because I was talking about how I never really watch the same movie twice or go to the same concert twice, but I do play the same golf course a lot and I eat at the same restaurant. True. All true. I just think it's easier to watch other movies or go to other concerts than it is. Like, I would love to play I love Langdon Farms, don't get me wrong, in Laurelhurst Market. But I will say what gets me going, I love playing new courses, playing courses I've never played before. I love that. I love that.
How far will you travel to do so?
A lot. I've traveled a long way. Like, Chambers Bay, Gamble Sands. I'm all about it if I can make it happen. It's just not as easy to do that. It is easy to just select another show or movie on Netflix. You know what I mean? Or, say, oh, there's a concert coming. I've already seen that show. There's another concert coming. I haven't seen that show. Well, I'll just choose the latter. You know what I'm saying? So, and Laurelhurst Market, wonderful. I've eaten there like 3 times in the last month. But I love trying new things and new restaurants, too. That's my thing. Yeah, life's short, guys. You only live once. So Jim Harbaugh was suspended for the last 3 regular season games by the Big Ten today. That was the punishment handed down. They are saying that he cannot be in the stadium for any of those 3 games. Those are at Penn State. And by the way, Michigan, when this punishment was handed down, Michigan was flying to their game in Happy Valley. So I'm sure that all hell broke loose once they landed.
Wonder if they have internet on that plane.
Or while they were in the air, yeah.
Yeah, just some of these schools have it, some don't. So yeah, fly on the wall. I wonder when they found out.
So Michigan, they're going to Penn State this weekend. They have a game at Maryland next weekend, and then they have the home game against Ohio State. And of course, if you don't know, Michigan's undefeated. They are top 3 or 4 in the country. They are on pace to make the college football playoff. But this is a significant punishment because 2 of these last 3 games are their 2 biggest games of the season in Penn State and Ohio State. It is not an insignificant punishment. I feel like the Big Ten was pressured to act. And like I said, this isn't insignificant unless there's an injunction. And Michigan is coming with some legalese that could try to make this lack some serious teeth. But, I don't know. This is a weird one because, one, I think the Big Ten is going to have to prove that Jim Harbaugh knew what Connor Stalions was doing. I think we all believe Jim Harbaugh knew what Connor Stalions was doing, but proving it is another thing. And if they cannot prove it, which is Michigan is already saying they can't, then they may have some trouble here because then that's how you get mucked up in the courts. The same thing happened at Kansas with the whole thing with, improper recruiting benefits through Adidas to recruits with Bill Self and everything. He said this, they acted very much like Michigan did from the very outset. And that is, hey, you better do your due diligence and you better be able to lay this out and prove it. Otherwise, we're taking your ass to court. And that's exactly what happened. And I don't know if you noticed, but Kansas did not get hit hard at all. And yes, of course, they were in bed with the shoe companies, just as every big program is. And there's a little bit of a sort of parallel to this in that, yes, Michigan was stealing signs, or as they call it, advanced scouting. But to some degree, maybe not this degree, but to some degree, everyone's doing that, which is why there isn't a ton of outrage regarding this story. I respect Jim Harbaugh's lack of respect for the NCAA and its rules. I think it's great. The NCAA is a joke and has been for many years, and him blatantly laughing in their face is awesome to me, and I want more of that. But in this instance, I mean, come on. They are caught red-handed here. And he can say, well, I didn't know anything. Well, you're still the head of the program. You are still going to be punished. Now, we'll see how they fight it and if it goes to court and if there's an injunction. But, I feel like if, and this is probably unlikely because Michigan ain't going to go down without a fight. But if it were just to end with this 3 games and that's it, I feel like that's kind of fair. I think it's about right.
This is ballsy by the Big Ten. I mean, this is a huge step. I'm not sure we've seen in-season punishment before for a program that's competing for the national championship. And it kind of tells me here, like, the Big Ten stepped up, did what all of the other schools asked, and honestly, I think they kind of have to with other schools of note like Oregon and USC and Washington and UCLA coming into the conference next year. They got to keep their hands clean, but I think it's interesting how they did this, Rob, because essentially they put a little bit of punishment out there and have now given the opportunity, I feel like, to teams in the conference, to Ohio State, to Penn State, to say, hey, you know what? All right, guys, you're saying that they should not have a chance at the national championship or the college football playoff because of this year? Fine. All right, we're going to keep him off the sideline the last 3 games. It's up to you now. If you want to end this, if you want, because I agree with you, I think it would be fair. But also, if it were just these 3 games, there is a potential for these 3 games only being his punishment because they don't go to the college football playoff.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Because Penn State and Ohio State kick their ass.
Remember,
so,
he can be.
It's interesting here.
He can be at. It is interesting that they did this. I think they were pressured into acting, and I don't know that it's going to hold up. Let's just be very clear. They were pressured into acting. I get why they felt like they needed to, but I also think, man, when it comes to the NCAA rules and when it comes to conferences and their bylaws, they said that this violated the sportsmanship policy in their league bylaws. When it comes to those things, that does. You get into court, it's a whole different battle, and Michigan is prepared to do that, so I don't know that this is going to hold up. I would say that if Michigan loses, one of the next 3 games, or even, let's say they lose 2, I think it's important to note that he is going to be able to coach the team throughout the week. He just won't be on the headset or in the stadium
of course,
for the games.
And they're going to script it like Harbaugh would be.
Yes, that's a big one.
Yeah.
I think that's big, that he is allowed to coach them and get them ready for a game. I think they can still win all 3 of those games, in other words. If Michigan, though, loses out on the playoff, this will be blamed, and Michigan fans will cry. But on the flip side, they will have no one to blame but themselves, in my opinion. You did this. You got called out on it. So many of us aren't really outraged because it's the nature of the game, but it's against the rules. And it's the same with universities giving bags of cash to kids before NIL or being in bed with shoe companies. Like I mentioned, this is all stuff we know goes on. To some extent, everyone participates in the muck. It's kind of dumb. Some of this crap is even against the rules. But in this instance, Michigan went too far. I'm just not outraged by it. I wasn't outraged by the Kansas thing. I wasn't outraged when, Oregon stole DeAnthony Thomas from USC with straight cash. It's the nature of the game. This is the sport. This is what goes on. I mean, think about it. The greatest coach in NFL history is Bill Belichick by many people's standards. He was doing much of these same things. This is highly competitive sports. Not to say that it's right. It's just we're not selectively outraged, or I don't think we should be, right? So remember, Harbaugh was suspended already once this year. I mean, he missed the start of the season because of he was doing the COVID recruiting. He clearly does not respect the NCAA rulebook. So they kind of had to act. But if they win it all, I guess the bottom line here is I'm not sure this holds up. If they lose out on the playoff, this will be blamed. And I mean,
but that could all happen after, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure about I haven't had time or don't know the legalese of this, but like if they file an injunction in the next, 20 hours, will Harbaugh be back on the sideline tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yes. Yes,
so that
as a
is
matter
a
of fact, there is a report that they had a judge standing by because it's a Friday and the game is tomorrow. They had a judge standing by ready to act on this.
Maybe check on the water at Flint, Michigan before you guys get so deep on this. I this is so hypocritical to me, Rob. And I think for that reason alone is why my rage or angst about this is a little bit higher than yours. I'm just not as okay with this.
So you are outraged.
A little bit. Sign stealing happens, and I understand.
All the time.
It absolutely. In every sport, you're always trying to get an edge. You're always trying to understand what the other team's doing, and it helps you if you know what they're doing in the next play. You can beat that a hell of a lot easier. However, there's a level to it, and if you're talking about sending a staffer, and you're planning on throwing him in, deep cover on a sideline trying to get that stuff. That's a little different than just maybe, being an experienced player, knowing what the other team might be doing in a situation, or, just trying to eye it from the
No,
other
I know.
sideline.
I mean, it's different.
This is way deeper to me.
It's different. I don't know how. I guess the real crux of it is, what do you? And I'll ask you this: how big of a competitive advantage was it? Because that's what they're claiming. They're claiming the alternative scouting or advanced scouting gave them an unfair competitive advantage. I think it did. I mean,
Yeah.
you certainly can see how much Michigan improved on the field, wins and losses, once this started to occur. I mean, it's pretty blatant, quite frankly, how they were doing before and then how they've done since.
Yeah.
And they're doing really well. But the question is, how big was the competitive advantage?
I mean, I'm not sure I can answer that. I know that there are other people way closer to the program that probably knew exactly how many plays they were calling with knowledge of what the other team's doing. But you just look at their scores so far this year, 3, 7, 6, 7, 7, 10. Nobody scored more than 13 points, and that was Purdue last weekend against them. So it's not like they're giving up a ton of points. It would lead you to believe, yeah, they improved a lot based on this.
Definitely a competitive advantage, but I feel if they win it all, let's just say Michigan wins it all, I do not feel that this gets a dreaded asterisk. I don't think it does. And that goes back to our poll question. That's why I was interested to ask that poll, the question on the poll today, and it is up there. Who are the cheatingest cheaters that ever did cheat? Lance Armstrong's on there, Michigan, Patriots, Astros, all varying degrees of cheat, and everybody views every one of those differently. Like, to me, what the Astros were doing, much greater competitive advantage. Patriots and Michigan, kind of in the same territory. And then you throw in Lance Armstrong, which is, I don't know. He was doping in a sport full of people doping. So, look, I get the Big Ten had to act. I think it's interesting what they did. They do have balls to suspend Harbaugh for 3 games, 2 of their biggest games of the season. But I'm not sure it was a big enough competitive advantage, at least for me. I'm just saying, as a fan, that if they win it all, I'm like, man, that's a good football team. And yes, this helped them. Of course it helped them. But again, this goes on all over the country, and I'm not sure it gets an asterisk. You can text 503-864-6326. We'll pick this back up. But we got to move on because Joey Harrington is standing by. He's joining us a little bit early because Duck basketball at 5:30. We'll ask him where his worry meter sits for the USC game. We'll do that next. 2 segments with Joey when we get back. First, Schulte with Sports Center.
This is a Football Friday edition of Primetime with Isaac and Suk.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update brought to you by X Golf. It's indoor golf season. Check out X Golf in Vancouver or Tualatin, in the home of indoor golf, online at xgolfpnw.com. First on the Fan. Breaking news today out of college football, the Big Ten banning Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh from the sideline for the final 3 games of the regular season amid fallout from the sign-stealing probe there. He will be allowed to coach the team during the week and be back under the headset for postseason play. Locally, a couple of big games in college football this weekend. Your 6th-ranked Ducks hosting USC tomorrow night. Coverage begins right here on the Fan with an encore of Ducks Roundtable at 1 p.m. Oregon, a 16-point favorite. Kickoff set for 7:30 p.m. on Fox. And the 12th-ranked Beavers hosting the Stanford Cardinal tomorrow. They're 21-point favorites in that one. Kickoff at 2:30 p.m. on Pac-12 Network. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on every game at Spirit Mountain Casino with a sportsbook powered by BetMGM. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Every day, get the NFL headlines delivered
Ooh. Interesting question. Wasn't prepared for this off the bat. Okay, I'm going to preface by saying it's November, right? So that automatically makes the worry meter go up, as we've discussed. There will, of the top 10 teams, what did we say? I think I said 6 teams will lose this month.
Yeah, that's what you said.
I might even say 7. I mean, it just happens every year.
Yeah.
The fact that Alex Grinch was fired the week before, like there's the, whether you want to call it the Antonio Pierce effect, like there's I'm not saying SC is going to all of a sudden become a top 10 defense, but you can't deny that they have some talent on that side of the, there's always talent at SC. So there is the likelihood of having some sort of resurgence. That being said, Oregon is by far the better team in all areas. But that doesn't mean that, Caleb Williams is a hell of a player. So all that put together, my worry meter is at 6.5.
6.5. Okay. Well,
yeah, I don't think I can go 7 yet because that just seems a little excessive. But like there is something like, look, we're getting down to the nitty gritty here. Like we're talking about 3 games, 2 against, well, I guess, SC isn't a top 25 team anymore, and 1 on the road at Arizona State, which is all like you never want to go on the road at the end of the season. Like this is like, funny things happen, and that just makes me a little nervous.
I think my worry meter is actually higher than yours. I would probably go 7.5 because I feel like we're writing USC off because they're not having the season we thought they could. At the same time, all they do is play close games. I mean, Washington did not blow them out. The fumble and the penalty killed USC's offense. The thing about USC is if they make mistakes like that on offense, like they scored the go-ahead touchdown against Washington, but it got called back due to penalty, and then they took a sack, and then they had to punt. That right there is going to kill them because their defense will never pick them up, right? So it's got to be their offense.
Okay, but stop. So here's the thing that gives me a little bit of pause. Is this the week? Like I've seen so many times a talented group of players playing for a coach that they don't respect. There was a moment in the game last weekend where Alex Grinch put his hand up to break the team down on the sideline. All right, come on, guys. They're coming out of a tight end or a timeout, and literally nobody put their hand up with it. They just walked out onto the field. Like, if you have a talented group of players that are playing for somebody they respect, somebody that respects them, like that all of a sudden changes things. So I don't want to jinx it and say this is going to be the week that they, that SC all of a sudden, becomes an incredible defense, because it's not. But there is the possibility that this might be the week that they get a little bit better on defense because there's no more guy that they absolutely despise running the show.
No, that's a great point. That's true. So I'm going to go ahead and go to 8. I'm now 8 on the worry meter. I would say this, and this is an interesting question for you as a former player, because my perspective on this is a total fan perspective, and even kind of a gambling angle on it. But I keep going back to that.
Thanks for the honesty.
Yeah, I'm being totally honest. I keep going back to that full body cry by Caleb Williams in the arms of his mother. And I'm not, it's okay for men to cry. He cares. He was exhausted. Stop hating on him. But why I keep going back to that is he let it all out. And perhaps it signaled that was their last stand. They knew that they had to win that game to still accomplish their goals. But by losing that game, it's all over. That's what that signified to me. And now you go to cold, wet Oregon, best team you've played all year. That could spell disaster. Is that something?
Disaster for who?
For USC. For USC.
Okay,
I think I think that moment led me to believe, wow, that was the end of it, because they left it all out there. They knew they had to win. And now that they didn't, then they make changes on the defensive side of the ball. And it's like, okay, we're punting. And maybe you get a USC team that's just defeated at this point.
I wouldn't disagree with that either. I literally had that same thought as he was, covering himself up with his mom in the stands. And that was having been in that position where you literally just put your head down and fight. Like he has invested so much of his life, of everything so far in college football. right? This is literally like we're getting into a different discussion and one we don't have time for because we only have one segment today, I think.
No, we have two. We have two.
Oh, we have two.
Yeah.
Okay, good. We're just going earlier because of Duck.
Right.
Or because of Duck. Got it.
Yeah. Expound if you like.
There you go. That's absolutely what it said to me.
Mm.
Like, he realized that what he had worked for, like, because this is, for so many people in that position, it isn't just what you do, it's who you are. He is the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. He is the quarterback of the University of Southern California, the school in the conference which has the most tradition, which the entire country's eyeballs are on. And yeah, at that moment, there was the realization, like, damn, like, maybe, like, this is over. So I wouldn't put that situation by him either. Like, I could honestly see this going either way, which is why it's one of those wild card games that has me on edge.
Yeah, I agree. So as we watch this game early, what is an indicator to you that it may be too close for comfort? I'm going to want to see. Well, I guess there's two things, because this is going to be if Oregon can stop USC just a couple times, right? I want to see if Oregon can put SC in some third and long situations. I want to see how they do on first and second down Oregon's defense, right? Because inevitably, if you end up, if you give Caleb Williams 2nd and 4, 3rd and 1, he's gonna go all day. But if you can put him in a few 3rd and 12s, 3rd and 14s on the road, wet game at Autzen, right? The crowd, like that's the situation where you can stop them, create a turnover, get a little momentum. Conversely, I want to see what USC's defense does in the first quarter. Because if they come out and they're fired up, new coordinator, see Alex Grinch, we got a new passion, we're ready to play. Like, that's the kind of thing that could be sustainable through the rest of the game. If they come out and just get trucked in the first quarter, they'll cash it in. Like that, those guys, I've seen SC do it 1,000 times. Like, every single year, they are that incredibly talented collection of individuals that if you can put it together and you can. And if you can somehow find a way for them all to play for a common purpose, they are a hell of a football team. But if they break off and say, I'm just going to get mine, screw it, then anybody can beat them. What is that? I mean, what's in the water at USC that they have that element of it and that they can't get back to elite?
Well, but see, I even when they were elite, they had those type of players. Mm. Right. That I'm not. I think it's a coaching issue. It's recognizing what Pete Carroll was able to do with that group for so long. Right. That because the makeup of the USC's players hasn't changed. Right. They've always been the 4- and 5-star kids who've been propped up since they were 8th graders who come to the glitz of Los Angeles and are told how great they are. And, this is a stepping stone to get to the league. And, once things start to go sideways, well, you know what, I'm just going to make sure that I get mine. But Pete Carroll was able to create an atmosphere where all those egos could exist, where all those egos could get stroked, but still have them playing for a common goal, which is really difficult to do. There are very few coaches who can take those type of egos and take those type of players and put them all together and consistently put out winners.
Yeah, that's why he's a Hall of Famer, man. That guy, Pete Carroll, incredible. I don't really understand why people don't go back to what he did and sort of pick his brain on what he did at USC. Like, he's been the only guy in the last 5 or 6 guys.
You can't recreate personality.
Okay, like so it's unique to Pete. See, to me, it's like a toughness thing. Bringing in more of a defensive-minded coach, bringing in some toughness, but also allow that flash like you're talking about. It wouldn't seem to be that hard, but maybe it is. Maybe it's...
It is. I mean, it truly is like... There are only certain coaches who are able to connect with... Like, it's... How do I say this? certain coaches are built for certain teams, right? Nick Saban is built for a certain type of team. Pete Carroll is built for a certain type of team. Even like Steve Mariucci was built for a certain type of team, right? He was built for San Francisco, a team full of leaders and vets, and he was not built for a team in Detroit that was full of, a bunch of high first round pick young, screw offs. Like, there are certain coaches who are built for certain situations, and it takes a special type of guy to be the head coach at USC. Anybody can go in there and win 8 games. There is talent literally coming out of, is spilling out of those buildings, and you can go out and win 8 games with that kind of talent. But it takes a special type of coach to put that all together and compete for a championship every year.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. Is there somebody that's out there, even if they're coaching another team, that you think is a good fit at USC for those reasons?
I don't know. I don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about USC coaches.
Yeah. Well, it's
I was gonna say, and half jokingly, I was gonna say Dan Lanning, but the reason that I think Dan is such an incredible fit at Oregon is because there's still a blue, for as much as Oregon is flash and uniforms and visibility and breaking the mold. Oregon's program comes from a very blue collar, less than mentality, right? It's what Utah is now, right?
Yeah.
So you can take that blue collar mentality, that blue collar foundation, with a guy like, because both Lanning and Tosh both came from Saban, the school of Saban. If they've tweaked it a bit to make it their own, but you can take that type of coach with a blue collar foundation and make it work. I don't think a guy like Dan Lanning, and God, the guy's a phenomenal coach, and I don't want him to go to SC, but I don't think that's necessarily the type of guy that you need at SC. I think you need a Pete Carroll. I think you need a guy who's going to be a bit more flamboyant, a bit going to have, let the guys go out and be seen down at the Laker games. Like there was, the Jimmy Johnson type of, like, how do you play into that Miami, that SC? Like there's a very specific type of coach that thrives in those situations.
Yeah. It's interesting that, the more I think about it, the Seahawks, when they were winning or going to Super Bowls and winning one, they were like that. It's very true. It's a very, like, Pete Carroll.
I think Marshawn Lynch isn't the picture of, like, buttoned down, disciplined. Marshawn Lynch was having fun.
Yeah.
Right. That's what Pete Carroll's all about. Is like his teams have fun, and that works for some teams and not for others.
All right, we're with Joey Harrington here each Friday. We're on a little bit early with Joey because Ducks basketball coming up at 5:30. His segments are brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here. Coming up next, we're going to ask Joey who should be more nervous. So we've talked about Oregon USC, but what about this Washington game? And I have probably won the bourbon already, but just in case I haven't, we'll check in on that next as well. More with Joey Harrington when we return on The Fan.
The home of Dirt and Spread.
think should be more nervous, the Ducks against USC or Washington playing a banged up Utah team?
I think these games are both similar in the fact that you have to be careful. You have to take them seriously, but at the end of the game, it's going to be a 3-touchdown win. I mean, I really do think this is going to be a 55-34 type of game. Maybe it's 49-27. I don't know, but I think it's going to be similar for Utah and Washington. We saw what a really good offense did to Utah's defense a couple weeks ago. Penix is going to do the same thing. I don't think that Utah can compete with Washington. Oregon and Washington are the class of the conference right now. That being said, if they sleep on them, Utah's the type of team that'll come up and bite you. So I don't think that – I think these are very similar in that you can't look past them. But I don't – at the end of the day, I don't think that Washington and Oregon – I think it's going to be both of them are going to be one of those games where you look back and it's like, oh, if you only look at the score, you're going to see a couple touchdown win, but and not quite realize what was involved in the game.
Yeah, do you see any scenario really where Washington and Oregon don't meet in Las Vegas?
Well, we haven't talked about Oregon State yet.
Next week. Well, Washington can lose that game though and still be in Vegas.
Well, Washington can still lose that game, but Oregon and Washington both play Oregon State. That's my point. Right? Because if Oregon State beats Oregon, correct? If my math is correct, then Oregon State would play Washington, right?
No, I think they would. Yeah, yeah. I don't know, man. I think the Ducks are going to get Oregon State this year.
I do too. Yeah. I do too. But the question was
that's the path
scenario.
Yeah. So the Beavers are the only thing standing in the way.
In my mind, and that game's look. That is, I don't know what the hell happened against Arizona. I mean, maybe Arizona's just a really good, a really improved football team. But this Jonathan Smith coached team has sneakily and steadily scared me all year long. Like, it's that one that's at the end of the year. It's like, God, why do you have to play them last? Like, what? I'm just having like flashbacks to, when I was playing. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe I'm having flashbacks to when I had to play Jonathan Smith to get, to win the conference, to get to the Fiesta Bowl. Like, there's just something that it just makes me uncomfortable. And I think they're a really good team. And if you're asking me what could keep that Oregon-Washington matchup from happening, it's Oregon State.
All right. What did you think of, before we get to a bourbon update here for the people, what did you think of the Big Ten punishing Jim Harbaugh, sitting him down for the last 3 regular season games for spying?
I think it's tough. Okay, I'm going to make a few statements here that can all be true.
Okay.
I think it's tough for us as fans to make judgments without knowing all of the information.
Okay.
I think that sign stealing is a natural part of the game. I stood across the sideline and was standing next to Don Pelham and stealing signals against Oregon State, and it'd be like, hey, DP, they're going heavy package and they're running the ball. Like, everybody does it. And if you don't do it, then, shame on you. Now, that happens during the game. I don't know the specific rules about sending somebody to covertly record signals. Like, are they breaking? I just think it's hard. At the end of the day, I think it's hard to have that type of punishment come down until you've had, I don't know if due process is the right phrase, considering that the NCAA is a gutless and meaningless organization at this point, right? So I don't know. I think all of those statements can be true and at the same time conflict with each other in some aspect.
Do you think it's possible Harbaugh didn't know what Connor Stallions was doing, or to the extent?
Not a chance.
Okay.
Not a chance.
Because they have to prove that, right? Like that to me is the big thing here, is they're going to have to prove that Harbaugh knew. Otherwise, it's going to get sticky.
Which you're never going to be able to do.
Yeah, it's going to get hairy then in court, I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I cannot see any scenario where you are sending a staff member on an airplane with company or with university, university purchase credit card to go take video of another team and then come and stand by your defensive coordinator and tell them what they're going to do as you're looking at the signs on the sideline. Like there's no way that you didn't know what's going on. But how do you prove it?
Yep, that's the key. All right, you draw my name for the bourbon that I'm going to win on Sunday. Is that right?
I do, yeah. Well, no, I draw your name on Monday.
Oh,
the
okay.
The ticket sales for everybody else who is not going to win are closed on Sunday night. So, and I just got to say, I mean, such a huge thank you to you and Suk, and who, by the way, didn't invite me to the Metallica concert. And everybody who was listening on Wednesday when you guys had me come on. I mean, we did almost $3,000 in
great.
sales.
Good.
Just during that segment, which was massive. We're sitting at about $30,000 right now. We did $60,000 in sales last year for our scholarship, which if to fully endow a scholarship in perpetuity costs us $125,000. So if we can do that again, get to $65,000 this year, we can endow a scholarship in perpetuity forever. So, I mean, it's like we said, I hate this. I hate this part of, I love running a nonprofit. Like I literally get to give scholarships for a living. I hate the fundraising side of it. I hate the fact that, nobody likes asking for money, but I feel good doing it. And for two reasons. One, because we've got a hell of a prize, like that Pappy 20 year. And it's funny. I put out a review. Zach Johnston, the whiskey writer who helped me pick it out, essentially said that the single barrel Weller is the exact same as the antique collection William LaRue that came out, which is such high praise. I mean, it's a unicorn bottle, or 4 unicorn bottles that you would win. So I feel good knowing that we've got an incredible prize. And 2, I feel good knowing that our students are going to benefit. Like this isn't just an Oregon specific. This isn't an Oregon State specific. This isn't. This is literally the entire state of Oregon, urban, rural. Like it's for everybody. And what we're trying to do is a long-term play to make sure that our state is taken care of. So,
love it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And if we can during this segment here get to 35,000 and get some good momentum going into the weekend, that would be absolutely incredible.
So there's 5 bottles, including a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle, 4 bottles of Weller. One person wins all of them. $100 per raffle ticket. You can buy as many as you want, and you can go to harringtonfamilyfoundation.org and buy them right there online. We have some links up on our Twitter and Joey's Twitter as well, so you can find it there if you're on social media. But it's super easy. I bought a couple, and it took me maybe 30 seconds. So and great cause. Not only that, could be a good gift for the holidays for the bourbon lover in your family. So
we talked about last time, if you love kids and you love bourbon, this is for you.
Yep.
If you don't love bourbon and you love kids, this is still great for you. Or if you're like you and you hate kids but love bourbon, this is definitely for you.
Most definitely.
It checks all the boxes.
Well, I can't wait to win. I'm really looking forward to my 5 bottles of whiskey that I'll share with you. Thanks.
And you know what? Even if you don't win, I'm pretty sure that we might be able to send you a bottle, or maybe some other people who who contribute at a necessary amount. We might be able to say thank you in some other ways.
Well,
so
thank you. That's very nice of you.
Yeah.
Well, we wish you the best. We're going to keep pushing it through the weekend for you, and hopefully we get over what you guys did last year. It is. You're right. I mean, we always did a fundraiser with Special Olympics for many, many years and raised a lot of money over the years. But it's always a little uncomfortable to ask people for money. Particularly in times like these. And so it's like,
it never gets easier. Like that's the thing. I've been doing this for, since I retired 13 years now. And it actually never gets easier.
No, it doesn't. But our listeners are kick-ass, man. And they showed it on Wednesday, and I think they'll step up for you this weekend too. So let's get it done. Enjoy the USC game, and we'll talk to you next week, Joey. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Yep.
All right, we'll see you. That's Joey Harrington each Friday, a little bit early this week because we have Ducks basketball in the 5 o'clock hour. He is courtesy of Mods PDX. The future of building is here. When we get back, a Friday audio dump. Let's listen to Lane Kiffin, Be a Jerk, next on The Fan.
I'm Joe Ostrowski here to help you beat the books with BetQL. Number 1 overall pick, Victor Wembanyama, had a subpar performance in his Madison Square Garden debut, but he returns home to face the T-Wolves tonight.
He's in the house. He's fired up.
Is there a song for Fridays that I could? I don't know. I don't even know.
What do you mean?
I'm just trying to think of like a jazz song, like singing into the weekends, but I can't think of like a standard that talks
I don't know.
about Friday.
I think you got to write something. Do you write your own stuff?
No.
on, man.
I mean, I could go because then there's like the Jimmy Buffett "Come Monday, it'll be all right." There's a song. I'm not gonna sing Rebecca Black's "Friday," so you don't get that crooned at you.
Okay.
Not a fan.
Well, Schulte's the only guy at the station with one name, so you got to take him seriously. Joey Harrington, is good. His stuff on Pete Carroll was interesting. About because Suk and I have talked about what USC needs to do to get back to the Pete Carroll days, and maybe they were on the right track with a few guys like Lane Kiffin at one point seemed like he could be pretty good there, but then it flamed, and then of course Sark was his own worst enemy. And both of those guys are having success at other programs, which is interesting. But yeah, USC just, it's the first time he made me think USC does just need a certain type of personality. And of course, I was sitting there racking my brain about, who is that guy? Because I thought about Chris Peterson, who was flirting with USC years ago, or Bellotti was flirting with USC years ago. And then, of course, somebody hit it on the Vancouver Ford text line. And I mean, my God, is it not like the perfect fit? Coach Prime.
Oh, no.
I mean, is Coach Prime, based on what Joey was saying about the type of coach you need at USC, isn't he perfect?
Dad joke aside, he is primed to be a head coach at a school like USC. I mean, they've been saying,
Right?
"Oh, Coach Prime
Do you believe?
to the Cowboys," like earlier in the college football season. So
He doesn't want to coach in the NFL, though.
There you go.
He said that. He said the guy, he hates the NFL because guys, he is so competitive that he hates it that there are guys that are just cashing checks in the NFL, and he doesn't want to coach them. And he's not wrong. I mean, Suk talks about this all the time. There's a lot of those guys. You think they just love football. They don't. They're just cashing checks. They're just good at what they do. He wants the kids. He wants the passion of young people, and So boy, that is, if I don't know what's going to happen with Lincoln Riley. I don't know. He might go to the NFL. He might stay at USC. But if USC is looking for a coach anytime soon, man, that's interesting, because he's certainly the flashiest coach there is. He's got that. Kids will love to go play for Prime no matter where he is, much less LA. So he can harness that and foster that and let guys be themselves doing that. They do that at Colorado. But then he also, you would think, although this still remains to be seen, you would think he could bring some toughness like Pete Carroll did.
Well, especially with
He's
the
a good coach.
Hey, I'm bringing Louis. My baggage is on the way too. Like and all this stuff that he brought. Like
that fits. But the defensive thing, this defense sucks at Colorado. Now it's early. We shouldn't. Give him time, probably. But Charles Kelly, that guy, he's not. It's just not good. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe he's the next Lincoln Riley in that regard. I don't know. But that you want to talk about personality fit? Prime would certainly be it. It's also very interesting to note, as Joey pointed out, Oregon State controls their own fate, at least in the Pac-12. And there's probably an outside chance. Not probably. There is an outside chance that Oregon State, if they win out, and that would mean winning in the Pac-12 championship game too, could be a 2-loss college football playoff team. You never know. Outside chance, but a chance. Isn't that wild to think? Oregon State certainly controls its own fate for the Pac-12, because they just, if they can knock off Washington and Oregon, they get to play in the Pac-12 title game. And nobody's really talking about that.
Yeah, because nobody cares about the Pac-12. It's why we're breaking up, because nobody watches the Pac-12. You're so right, Rob. No, I would love to see a team.
They're right there, man.
Well, and everybody said preseason, the team you should be rooting for if you love college football and you love tradition, Oregon State.
Yep.
What you're getting at, it's awesome that they're still in it.
Yep.
It's true.
It is awesome that they're still in it. And I tell you what's really awesome. What's really awesome is that this Civil War game, this last Civil War game, at least for the time being, is shaping up to be as good as it gets, as big as it gets. And boy, isn't that fitting? Because, the Beavers and the Ducks have, we all know the rivalry and the history of the rivalry. And there were a few years where Bellotti and Riley were going at it with the Pac-12 on the line. But nothing like this if it comes down to that. If Oregon State beats Washington, wow, that would mean that there would be. And Joey said it. It's tough if that's the last game of the year. Strange things happen that weekend, but that would mean that there would be a Pac-12 championship game berth on the line. Yeah. Well, yeah, that would mean there's a Pac-12 championship berth on the line, championship game berth on the line, and could maybe knock Bo Nix out of the Heisman. That would be on the line.
Usually it's just like fighting for the Rose Bowl between these two schools.
I know. It would be the last Pac-12 championship, which matters, and Oregon State's the one, them and Washington State being left out. The Oregon State playing for that bit of, trying to plant that flag that, hey, we won the last one. Screw off. There's a lot of, there's just a lot for that game. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. I think it's, I don't know. I was asking Joey about this. I think Utah and Washington is going to be a barn burner, and something tells me USC and Oregon could be too. So.
I think a lot of points. I see USC scoring at least 3 or 4 touchdowns, and I'm not sure Caleb Williams is going to go off because Oregon's defense supposedly has gotten really good, right? I know Caleb Williams is still ticking on the Heisman numbers for his chance, but damn, Evan Williams, Steve Stevens, that back four for your Ducks, they are really good, Rob.
Teams have had some success throwing on them, and I would say while we all sit here and go Oregon's defense is so much better because we're seeing it much more disciplined, right? They tackle.
Yes.
They swarm to the ball. They get turnovers. They don't have the huge penalties that we've seen in the past. There's a lot of things that have been cleaned up, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're a top 20 defense or 25 defense in the country. They're playing much better and much tighter. But I don't know. I think Suk, if he were here, would take umbrage with the fact that their defense is that good. I think it's better than he thinks it is. But this is the true test, right? You're right. Like USC coming into town, as long as they haven't packed it in, the defense will certainly be tested here. I want to say Ducks by 1,000,000, but I just can't. USC keeps playing these close games. They played close game with Utah. They played a close game with Washington. I don't know. Even if Oregon gets ahead by a lot, I think this one has backdoor cover written all over it. I mean, the Ducks should rush for at least 300 yards, and Bucky Irving should rush for 250 of that, right? Should. But that's what Washington said. And Washington did, and still almost, and they had a fight at the end of the game. That game, USC scored the go-ahead touchdown to take the lead with 8 minutes left. So, I don't know. Let's not counter. The thing about it is it's November. Somebody's got to be in trouble on Saturday, right? Like, this thing can't keep going with all these teams. Just like Michigan's playing Penn State, Ole Miss is playing Georgia, Oregon's playing USC, Washington's playing Utah, Miami's playing Florida State. Does Cristobal have something for Florida State? Bama's in Kentucky. Texas is at TCU. Something wild's going to happen. I don't know where it's going to be, but something is going to happen. It's got to. Maybe Michigan goes down. Distraction factor? I don't know. Or
Against
maybe
Penn State, I would love that.
Maybe they're now pissed off and they're fired up for that. I don't know. But I bet you something wild happens this weekend. All right, when we come back, let's listen to Lane Kiffin. He's got that game at Georgia. A lot of people like Lane Kiffin. He's a gregarious fella. Kind of funny at times.
Idiot.
Very dry.
Go Owls.
But this audio that's made the rounds of him.
What an exciting time.
It's not being taken too well. It's one of those things. We'll play it next, but it's one of those things where you all are going to be split. And it's not split between was he right or was he wrong. It's was he wrong or not wrong. That's what it is. And we'll listen to it next on The Fan.
The Ducks pass a big test.
Here's 3rd down and 3 to throw again. Mendoza, pressured, hit, pull it in the air. That's a fumble. That's at the 2-yard line. That's in the end zone. Touchdown, Oregon.
And they can see what's at the finish line.
We got a hungry locker room. Some guys in there that I love. They work their absolute tail off. I was excited to see some guys get rewarded. They put in all this hard work. What was it?
What f***ing world do you live in?
I don't see why you gotta be disrespectful, honestly.
Get out of here. Go. You're off the team. You're done. See ya.
Because I'm.
See ya. Go. And guess what? We can kick you off the team. So go read your f***ing rights about mental health. We can kick you off the team for not showing up. When the head coach has to meet with you and you don't show up for weeks, okay, we can remove you from the team. It's called being the It's called hiding behind and not showing up to work.
Yeah, so not a good look for Lane Kiffin at all. And again, this is why I say this one isn't one of those right or wrong things. I think we can all agree that is not the right way for Lane Kiffin to handle that kid. But I do think there is a debate, and I think there is going to be a split on this. Was Lane Kiffin wrong or not wrong? And on the not wrong side, I guarantee a lot of you are sitting out there going, well, look, the kid, you can't just ghost your team and your coach, even if you are having a mental health issue. And Lane Kiffin, again, we don't know the whole history of him dealing with DeSanto Rollins. We don't know anything leading up to that clip. And it sounds like Kiffin had just had enough. So maybe in the not wrong category, it's like, look, it's a big boy sport. Put your big boy pants on. Probably not the best way to handle it, but it's not wrong. So I can see how we could maybe be split here. For me, I just think that I say this all the time. I believe that you can tell a lot about a person by how they treat people who cannot help them. And that's exactly what that was. That was a glimpse into what Lane Kiffin is like when he no longer needs you, or if he doesn't need you, or if you can do nothing for him. And he was a jerk. He was an ass. And I think that just shows what Lane Kiffin is really like. Then again, does that shock any of us? No, he's a football coach, and it's a win-at-all-cost mentality. We all know how most of these guys roll, and it's not shocking at all. But I think it's a poor reflection on Lane Kiffin. I think there's a way better way to handle that. If you want to help the kid out, you're the leader. And that was not – it's just – I don't know. It's disappointing to hear a guy – to hear how that went down. But again, not shocked by it. So –
might surprise you, Rob. I actually was okay with like the first 30 seconds of that clip or so. Trying to understand. I heard a very frustrated coach that sounds like he had just kind of been left hanging, not knowing what the hell is going on with this player. But when you start to cross the line and saying you're hiding behind mental health, you call him the P word. Yeah, that's not okay. And that's where you're right. That's kind of the true Lane Kiffin. And, we have come so far in handling mental health, and it is great that it is on the forefront. But it is true. You cannot use it. Shoot, Rob, if I were showing up like all of a sudden for like 2 weeks and then I just stopped contacting you and I stopped contacting Boston and Austin, and then I came back and I said, well, I had a mental health issue, and I came in recording that meeting with y'all. Yeah. I mean, and see, that's, you know Lane Kiffin is done with this, and that this player, I feel like, knows that this is coming, or he wouldn't have walked in with a recorder or his phone in his pocket recording. It kind of just shows, I feel like a little bit of bad behavior on both sides here.
I understand. Texts are coming in hot and heavy on this. I'll read a few. Vancouver Ford text line, 503-864-6326. Don't curse him out. Don't call him names, but I have no problem with him kicking him off the team. I agree with that. Another one says the recording is inadmissible, leaked, but against the law.
No, that depends. If it's a one-party state, there's whole differences between states. And if you recorded it, like Oregon is a one-party state, I could call you, and since I am one party that knows it is being recorded, you do not have to consent to it, and that would be admissible. So I don't know, in Mississippi what the laws are.
Well, it is a $40 million lawsuit. This is a pretty big. Yes, it is. This is a big deal. Somebody else says, we've come a long ways in our knowledge of mental health and recognition that it's a critically important issue in society. That being said, I do get really frustrated when people can use it as a catch-all for their bad behavior and expect the whole world to stop everything and cater to their every need. I think a lot of people feel that way. Somebody else says, not wrong. Kiffin could have and should have handled it better. Absolutely. But you can't just disappear and expect things to be waiting for you when you come back. The world just doesn't stop just for you.
Especially a college football team. There's 7 guys waiting to take your job, man.
Yeah. And it sounds like, again, we don't know all the details, but it sounds like Kiffin reached out to him like, hey, what's going on? And he ghosted him.
I mean, no email, no nothing.
Nothing.
You know, see, it's
tough. You can't. Yeah. And so that's where the whole not wrong thing comes in. All right. When we get back, it is in the news. It's time for In the News, guys. And this is why we can't have nice things. Here's Schulte.
This is a Football Friday edition of Primetime with Isaac and Suk.
Brought to you by the Odyssey app.
Now, from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
This update is brought to you by Stanford's. This classic American steakhouse has exactly what you've been craving. Visit them in Clackamas, Tannis, Border online at stanfords.com. First on The Fan, breaking news today out of college football, the Big Ten banning Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh from the sideline for the final 3 games of the regular season amid fallout from their sign-stealing scandal. He will be allowed to coach the team during the week, though, and also be back under the headset for the postseason. Locally, 2 huge games this weekend as your 6th-ranked Oregon Ducks hosting USC tomorrow night. Coverage begins right here on The Fan with an encore of Ducks Roundtable at 1 p.m. Oregon, a 16-point favorite. Kickoff at 7:30 p.m. on Fox. And the 12th-ranked Beavers hosting the Stanford Cardinal tomorrow as a 21-point favorite. Kickoff at 2:30 on Pac-12 Network. In the association, bad news for the Portland Trail Blazers. It is official. Forward Robert Williams III will undergo season-ending surgery on his right knee to repair the kneecap and multiple ligaments. The team is off tonight before facing the Lakers in Los Angeles tomorrow. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Schulte from the Spirit Mountain Casino Sports Desk. Watch and wager on every game at Spirit Mountain Casino with a sportsbook powered by BetMGM. Learn more at spiritmountain.com.
Go deeper on the Trailblazers. The Rose Garden Report with host
slide in here, Schultze. If you have any news to break, let me know.
It's been a boring fall so far here in Portland.
Think so, huh?
I mean, election year, but there weren't, thankfully, I say thankfully, there weren't many impact local bills like on the ballot. So like we could maybe take a little year off from sweating that out.
Well, the biggest thing, and it's not boring, is the homeless battle. And I've got an update on that here in a moment. It is Veterans Day, at least, well, it's not really Veterans Day. Tomorrow's Veterans Day, but today is Veterans Day observed. At least, so says my iPhone calendar. Do you put the holidays and birthdays on your iPhone? You know how you can choose?
Oh, so you can I do not. I mean, the holidays are there, but so I can just automatically add my contacts' birthdays as well.
Yeah.
So I have the holidays, but I haven't added the contacts' birthdays.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I go back and forth with it. Sometimes it's like, oh, it's old Jimmy's birthday. I'm like, oh, I haven't seen that guy for years. Don't really care. It's his birthday. Whatever. And then other times, like, oh, it's that person's. I should shoot him a note.
It's the only reason I feel like I used to check Facebook. Is like, it's this person's birthday.
Yeah, right.
But now you don't even, you got your iPhone, you don't even need that.
Is Facebook still a thing?
I believe so.
You guys out there on Facebook?
Sometimes.
Well, it is Veterans Day observed, so should say we are grateful for your service.
Yes,
thank you.
Thank you for all of you and your service.
I will never forget. I was in line at Machu Picchu, the ruins in Peru, and we were standing next to a family from Israel, and that they were describing. The family had teenage boys, and they were describing what those teenage boys were in for, because they have mandatory service over there. So they were about to go into service, and of course now with Israel and the war that's going on, I mean, it's been going on, the conflict's been going on for many, many years, but now I always think about them. I can picture them in my head, and I think about them, I'm like, man, we don't have that here.
I am too much of a wuss, thank God.
Well, we won't get to it today, but there is a story, I read it today, that said that for the first time ever, most Americans are not willing to fight for the country.
I'm not shocked by
Isn't that interesting? I'm not shocked by that either.
Especially because it would be younger people that would be going, and the attitude towards the U.S. by the younger generation, not so sterling.
Well, I think
right
the sentiment by a lot of people is there's no longer something so great to fight for. You could argue that. I won't step in front of that, but it's interesting. Maybe we'll cover it in a club next week or something. It is also Sesame Street Day. Loved Sesame Street. Who didn't?
Right.
Did you know? I have a hot Sesame Street fact for you.
One host is gone today.
Loved the count. Who was your favorite Sesame Streeter?
Probably Big Bird or Oscar.
Yeah, dude, Big Bird was great.
Yeah, I was a Big Bird fan.
Did you know that there was an HIV positive Muppet on Sesame Street?
This was like recently this year, right?
No.
When did they go woke and start adding characters like that?
Well, I don't know if that's woke.
I think
Schultze.
it's inclusive. Woke is also inclusive, which means include every kind of person from any walk of life.
Well, it was only on Sesame Street, South Africa, but it was in 2002.
Oh wow!
Did you know there was Sesame Street in all these different countries?
I did not.
Like, there's one in Israel where they had an Israeli character.
I'm not surprised. They just
kind of cool.
Now I would wonder if they shoot their own or if they just translate it for
Yeah, I think they shoot their own.
That is.
I don't know.
There's like 100 versions of The Voice. You can go to South Africa or Australia's version of The Voice. So yeah, that would not surprise me that Sesame Street does that too.
Why aren't you on The Voice?
I mean, I'm gonna get rejected by the first or second line of producers, but like
bad attitude, Schultze.
I can try. No, hey, I'm happy to do it. If they
fighting.
Show up in Portland, yeah, why not?
Yeah, in 2002, they introduced a character called Cammy, who was a 5-year-old girl with HIV. They were addressing the AIDS epidemic at the time in South Africa.
Oh, and this wasn't a puppet. This was a real.
It was a Muppet. No, it was a puppet. Muppet.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, you said a 5-year-old.
What's the difference between a puppet and a Muppet?
I don't know. You said a 5-year-old girl, so I thought it was an actual person.
Well, no, the
Muppet. I get you. I understand. Now, right
Are
over
we on the
my
same
head.
page here?
You
and I.
Not at first, I guess.
All right, so here's the update on the homeless situation. We told you about this the other day, but the judge has, because November 13th, Tear Gas Teddy and city officials want to start enforcing the camping ban, the daytime camping ban, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. or whatever it is. They are no longer allowed to do that, at least temporarily. The judge has blocked enforcement of Portland's daytime camping ban. So this is homeless Portlanders have filed a class action lawsuit against the city, and they argue that the camping ban violates state law and the Oregon Constitution, and on Thursday a judge placed a temporary hold against the enforcement of the ban.
You can't even blame this one on Ted Wheeler, can you?
No, he's trying. I tell you, if you gave that guy truth serum, and you got to sit down and break bread with him and get him all housed and just hear him unfiltered, I bet you're going to get a lot of good points about too many cooks in the kitchen, right? You think you want this job? You want this job? You get in here and you try to do something when you've got this special interest group breathing down your neck, when you got this special interest group with power, when you got these neighborhood associations, you got these people and those people and these people. That's why Portland's trouble, man. The tail wags the dog. There's too many groups, too many special interest groups.
I got to meet him while he was campaigning.
Can't get anything done.
No.
Tear gas Teddy?
Yeah, Tear Gas Teddy for his first. So before he had even been elected at all, this was not his second round. I got to meet him, and it just, I don't know. Maybe he didn't know what he was getting himself into as far as the ever-reaching hands down your neck or the extra pressure that you're, because I can't even understand what that would be like, trying to just get something done.
Well, I just don't think it's an easy job. Look, I'm no fan of Tear Gas Teddy, okay? I think Portland...
Ditto.
Yeah, like that, we need new leadership. And he's not rerunning, so that's good. We're going to get a new mayor. But, I bet you that's a really hard freaking job, man.
I don't think it matters, because it sounds like a judge or people in the government still care enough to allow these homeless people to just stay out there, which, sorry, it ain't better for everybody. It ain't working for us.
In a hearing on Thursday morning, both sides made their arguments before Judge Rima Gendor. Attorneys for homeless Portland residents said enforcement of the ordinance would lead to the harm of the most vulnerable. They also said the camping ban is vague and difficult to understand. Attorneys for Portland said the city had a right to decide what public land can be used for camping and what cannot. She ruled, however, against the city blocking the enforcement of the ban. The judge stated that the court finds that plaintiffs made a sufficient showing to warrant preservation of the status quo so that upon a final hearing, full relief may be granted. All right, so just, I don't know, temporary. Ted Wheeler issued a statement. He said, I believe the status quo is not working, but the court's decision leaves the status quo in place. The city will abide by the court's preliminary order while continuing to fight in court for the city's right to adopt reasonable regulations on unsanctioned camping. The court's decision today makes the city's work harder, but the city is going to continue this fight, and we hope to get a better understanding of the court's reasoning during this litigation.
Hearing stories like this, Rob, it makes me wish, and I know that this is just unicorn land, but I want a common sense button for government. God.
Like just a little button they can push?
Yeah.
Maybe a big red one?
Yeah. Homeless people all over the streets, bad. Nobody can block this from ending. Done. I just cannot believe that they're having to go through a political fight for this, nor can I believe the city of Portland doesn't have some kind of executive power to just be like, I don't care what the judge says. We're done. This is an emergency situation here.
Yeah, it's wild out there.
Yeah.
And for those asking, how do they pay for attorneys? Well, they're represented by, again, a group that I think it's, what's it called? The Oregon... Yeah.
They're a pro bono group.
Yeah, exactly. They're a group that's put together to represent people marginalized, just like we're seeing here. So they don't pay. I don't know. I don't have all the answers, man. Let's go back to Bum Voyage, okay? Big Sook's had the best idea of anybody. Put him on a boat.
Seems to work.
The high seas. All right. Up next, move over, Con. We have a new hot restaurant. It is 446 on the Fan.
Oregon Ducks football is on the Fan.
Here's third down at the
you can get the fan on demand via the Service Patriots podcast. Service Patriots is your home comfort solution for all your heating and air conditioning needs. Check out the latest special offers from our listeners at servicepatriots.com/thefan. So we had Joey on 3:30. We'll do Rop in the Bank after the Hot 5 at 5. Then we got to go. Ducks basketball. This is in the news, November 10, 2023. Last story I have for you is of the restaurant variety. Because, well, I love the Portland restaurant scene. Love restaurants. Love to eat. A lot of good stuff here. Now, Con, have you eaten at Con yet, Schultze?
I have not. Is this a newer spot?
Well, that's Gregory Gordeau's restaurant. That was voted, I think it was the New York Times or one of those publications, voted it the best restaurant in the country.
Oh, well, I guess I got to take the wifey.
Let me tell you something. Yeah, good luck getting in, but you can get in. We went once, and I tell you, it is absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah?
It is worth all of the hype. So good. But there is a new restaurant that was named as one of Eater's 12 best new restaurants in the country. It is a restaurant called Astral. And apparently, I have not heard of it or been there, but apparently they share a space with Duality Brewing. So it's sort of a pop-up, but not really a full restaurant? I don't know.
So, like, they use their kitchen and serve their own food, but they... Yeah, okay.
Well, I'll read you a little bit here. It says that Astral is on a list that represents the highest highs of the year in dining, as well as the promise of what's to come next. Portland's food scene has always been defined by its scrappiness, chefs creating destination restaurants out of trailers, stalls, and neglected dive bar kitchens. So it's no shock to find that the city's best new restaurant is not a restaurant at all. Rather, it's a couple cooking with little more than a flat top and a sink in a brewery. But apparently it's great. And it melds Pacific Northwest flavors and ingredients with Mexican dishes and techniques. The sweetness of ground cherries, inescapable here in late summer, becomes electric when paired with habaneros and a sunset-hued carrot tostada. Come on.
All of those flavors. Yes,
please. It's a Mexican staple, and it's called Astral. Now, where is it located, you ask? I had to look it up. It's over on in sort of inner northeast. It's over by Church Bar, if you know where that is.
Oh, Church Bar is so much fun. They got some great drinks there.
Yeah, they do have good drinks in Church Bar.
Oh, my goodness. Actually, yeah, my wife and I, we just talked about that like a month ago. Like, we got to go back.
It's right across the street.
Okay.
Yep. Over there in southeast.
Southeast, northeast. That's a good little area.
Or, sorry, north. You're right. Northeast. 715 northeast Lawrence.
It's hard because I think it changes from, like, south to north right around, like, 20th
there.
or 23rd. So, yeah.
Anyway, go check it out. Eat some good food. Love that.
Gotta go take you to church for some drinks, man. That sounds fun.
Yeah, I'd be happy for you to buy my drinks at church.
All right.
Love that. Great idea.
They got like a muddled, old-fashioned with like some either cherry or they do like a port top. Oh my God, it's just to die for.
Can you imagine how people living in the I don't know, not even that long ago, maybe well, let's just say 80s. But say they're dead now, right? So you lived in the 80s, but you're dead.
Okay.
But you're resurrected to see the cocktail scene now. Like, you used to just have to drink such basic stuff, right?
People used to have to, like, swallow down Harvey Wallbangers.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Right. And now, I mean, the cocktail, like, what a renaissance in the cocktail scene. And maybe we're just spoiled in Portland. I think that's true. Because when you go to other parts of the country, you realize, the cocktail scene isn't quite as vibrant as here. But, man, you go anywhere you go now around town, you are getting delicious craft cocktails, all unique. You're nothing. You can't just order an old fashioned.
No.
It's got to be that place's twist on an old fashioned.
Exactly.
And it's just really fun.
Yeah, it's unique, and they've all got like the one dangerous cocktail that doesn't taste like it's got any booze in it, and you could go all night.
A lot of good stuff out there. Very creative. The Hot 5 at 5 is next, followed by Rop in the Bank. It is 4:57 on the Fan.
Hey, it's Suk, and you've heard me talking about Clausen Heating and Air for years. Now, along with Honky, they have joined the A&E Plumbing, Heating, and Air family.
Drop here.
Sodom.
Big Sook is in Detroit. He was yanked out of here to go to see Metallica twice over the weekend. He'll be back on Tuesday. We do have Schulte in here.
I'm a wannabe sports bro.
Yeah, you're slowly creeping up the sports bro chart here.
Oh, I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Too kind. I like that.
Yeah.
Although I will say, you and I are so similar. It's a weird show in a good way.
Oh.
But
what's that supposed to mean?
No, I think you and I just sound a little too similar. It's like we come at things very, very. It's like we set stories up the same way, and we even talk the same way. I feel like my wife, she tunes in and she's like, "Is that you?" No, that's Rob. Okay.
Are you to me as Will Ortner is to Big Sook?
That's kind of what. Yeah. I think that's what I'm getting.
That's what you're getting at.
Yeah, well, mini Isaac over here.
Watch out for you.
I'm not. I have no visions of murder like bald Will over there.
Yikes. Well, we only have 2 segments left, guys, because Oregon is playing Montana in basketball, and you need to hear it, damn it. It's going to be at 5:30.
Joey Mack on the call.
We will do Rop in the Bank in our next seggy. I'm bringing locks to the table this weekend. I'm not messing around anymore. And we also have Buck's picks. You know, Buck, his wife had a baby, but that does not stop that man from pouring over his betting card. And it's extensive this week again.
He needs a break already. I get it, right? New dad, he's like, all right, give me like an hour. Just give me an hour of my own time.
I tell you what, I respect it. I respect the hell out of it. We don't hear from him at all. And he's going to be on leave for like 12 weeks. Except he always texts me his betting picks. It says all you need to know about Ryan Buckley, and I love it.
Priorities, baby.
So we'll do that in our next segment. And Jordan, yeah, I assume you have some picks there.
I do. I think I've got like one big lock and a couple of leans. So yeah.
All right. Big Sook did not provide us with picks. He's a little gun shy. He's not been good, so he said he's going to take the week off. So that'll be our next seggy. We already interviewed Joey Harrington. That we did that at 3:30 because of Ducks basketball. So if you missed that, Fan on Demand, Service Patriots podcast. Right now, let's get you to the Hot 5 at 5.
Hot topics, hot opinions.
Oh, golly, I'm hot today.
And hot air. It's time for the Hot 5 at 5.
That's hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 on Primetime with Isaac and Sue.
No, I mean it. That's very hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 with Isaac and Sue. Brought to you on The Fan by Victor Rico's Mexican Food, the most popular burrito spot in Oregon. Online at victorricos.com. Number 5.
Solid slate of men's college basketball this Friday. As we mentioned, the Ducks coming up in 30 minutes here on The Fan. They're taking on Montana. The Beavers are hosting Troy right now, and they are tied at half, 32-32. Gonzaga plays Yale later, and a really good one at Cameron Indoor. Number 12, Arizona at the half leads number 4, Duke, 41-33. Also, can report to you from Tucson today, their president came out, I think it was their president, and said that the financial crisis down there is getting so bad that they are considering cutting athletic teams. They report a $240 million shortage at the University of Arizona. They currently have 23 sports teams, and what I was reading said that the Big 12 on average, their new league, on average, teams in the Big 12 have 17. So you can read between the lines there. They're going to cut some sports.
Wow. I mean, we were scared about like Oregon State and Wazoo. We got the school that is even going to a new conference, has a new home. They're having to cut some stuff as well.
With goofy old Bill Hancock stepping down after this year's cycle, the college football playoff has a new executive director. Air Force Academy Superintendent Richard Clark. He played at Air Force. He's a 3-star general. He is dubbed a leader of leaders. He also has strong ties in Washington, D.C. His biggest challenge will be structuring the next full college football playoff television contract, which will be in 2 years, and that thing's going to be worth billions. Interesting choice. Like, I don't know. I mean, that's like some general who's going to yell at me.
Is this like a nepotism thing? Like, he's got to know somebody. That seems like it's always just... Yeah, I guess good old boys or ladies at this point, because there are a lot of women in these positions of power as well now. But you got to know somebody.
They said that he blew them away with his leadership skills, but I don't know. Who cares? Like, the college football playoff, do they need a lead? I don't know. That seems like I would want a guy who can negotiate a big old fat money deal with streaming or with media companies, not a general who's a great leader. I don't know. What do I know? I don't know anything. Kyler Murray will make his first start for the Arizona Cardinals in 11 months this weekend. They host the very beatable Atlanta Falcons this weekend. The Seahawks and Commies will be here on the Fan Sunday at 1:30. Seattle today signing former Rams quarterback Brett Rippon to the practice squad. They now have 3 quarterbacks.
There. Oh, that's awesome.
Isn't that cute?
Why? I guess it's because they've seen him in their division. There's a reason the Rams moved on from Rippon. They were willing to bring Carson Wentz in to get rid of Brett Rippon. So that tells me all I need to know.
Brett Rippon. So Drew Lock or Brett Rippon? Who you going to bat with?
Hot backup quarterback talk. I'm going to Drew Lock. If I had to lean on him for 3 games, it's Lock over Rippon for sure.
All right.
They're talented, I know. Seriously, but Brett Rippon,
he's terrible.
Yeah, he throws a lot of picks. He makes terrible decisions.
Hey, if McVay throws you to the scrap heap, I got no faith in you. Robert Williams, we hardly knew ye. Blazers signed the big man in the offseason, but he went down against the Grizzlies last Sunday. This marks the 4th time in his 6 seasons he will have played fewer than 35 games. He is done for the season after having knee surgery. Also, Scoot Henderson, do you remember him? Blazers draft pick?
Scoot?
Do you remember him?
Barely, maybe.
He is going to miss, they're saying, at least 2 more weeks with that ankle injury. So Simons is out, Henderson's out, Brogdon's hurt, Williams is out. My God.
Scoot, just another 2 weeks. Blazers gonna blazer, right? Although everybody was wondering, like Celtics fans specifically, up in arms when Robert Williams was included for the Drew Holiday deal from the Celtics to the Blazers. Now, I think you understand why the Celtics were moving on from that a little bit. They knew what they were doing.
Well, the guy's always hurt. What are you gonna do?
Put on a Blazers uniform and be hurt warm.
Number 1.
I'll tell you, it's not a bad gig. These guys get hurt, and I know they don't want to get hurt. They want to play and earn their money, but they're still getting paid no matter what. It's like,
Oh yeah, Festus Ezeli.
Yes,
barely
Festus Ezeli
suited up for. I think he made $11 million to do nothing in Portland. Practice a little bit for like a couple months. That was it,
bro.
Michigan will play at Penn State tomorrow, at Maryland next weekend, and then host Ohio State, seemingly without Coach Jim Harbaugh. The Big Ten announcing today that the Wolverines are in violation of the league's sportsmanship policy for running an impermissible scouting operation led by Connor Stallions, who has since left the program. They say this resulted in an unfair competitive advantage. Harbaugh can be at practices and other team activities, but he cannot be in any stadium in the stadium where they are playing on game day. Many are reporting that we should expect a court injunction on this shortly, and that could allow Harbaugh to coach tomorrow at Penn State. They are already there. He is already there. So the Big Ten getting ballsy today, suspending Jim Harbaugh for the final 3 regular season games. And let's not forget, Jim Harbaugh was also suspended to start the season for a totally unrelated thing. So Jim Harbaugh, king of suspensions, we'll see how long it
I think it's really sexy.
Whoops. Sorry, Neil. We'll see how long it lasts. That was a misfire on my part.
No, he probably likes Jim Harbaugh and thinks he's sexy. Cheats just like him.
Yeah, right.
Allegedly.
All right. Anyway, what was I saying?
Jim Harbaugh, maybe on the sidelines. Possibly. He traveled with the team.
Yeah, I don't remember. Anyway, we'll see how long that lasts. Maybe he coaches tomorrow.
I'm interested to see when this injunction comes down, but I gotta say, this is a ballsy move by the Big Ten. Do love it, and I don't remember in-season punishments affecting such a prominent team. So yeah, big step here, and I love it. I hate corruption, so weed it the hell out.
Look at you. Well, it is it's their 2 biggest games of the year.
Yeah.
Penn State and Ohio State. So,
Unprecedented, Isaac. Like, I don't ever remember the NCAA, that they're a bunch of wussies, but a conference or a division or whatever you want to call them like this, stepping up to the plate. God, it makes me happy the Oregon's going to the Big Ten.
I feel like they were pressured to act, and they did. I do not think it's insignificant what they have chosen to do here, because these games are big, and particularly the Ohio State game. But I also don't know how much teeth there is to it, because I think Michigan's going to fight this in court, and ultimately, I don't know that Michigan's going to be able to, or the Big Ten is going to be able to prove that Jim Harbaugh knew about this, even though we all know that he probably did. Now, the real question is does anybody now play the Michigan Penn State game in their Roppin' the Bank picks? Do we have a betting angle here? That's the question. Roppin' the Bank is next on The Fan.
It's time for a Ducks Report, the inside story on Oregon athletics. Brought to you by Mods PDX. The future of building is here.
Caleb is a guy that can make every single throw. Probably doesn't get enough credit for how strong his lower body strength is. He's not a guy that goes down easy, and he's much faster than people realize as well. His scramble ability is impressive. You know, things that I think make him really different is how long he can hold on to the ball and find explosive plays.
Yeah, that's Dan Lanning on our show yesterday, and he brought up something right after that. It was interesting. He said, the thing about Caleb Williams is as the game goes on, he wears your defensive line out because he does hold on to the ball so long, and he makes them work so hard, chasing him around. We saw last week Caleb Williams was exhausted at the end of that game. Well, so can be the defensive line. Something to watch for tomorrow night. Mods PDX, the future of building is here.
The home of Dirt and Spray.
I'm going to ask you a quick question. Should Iowa be ranked? No. What has Iowa done to be ranked? I'm just curious. They beat Northwestern 10-7. It's a record thing, that's all. They're 7-2, so they're a 2-loss team. Got to put them in there. They're ahead of Tulane. Tulane would beat Iowa. Yes, they would. I would gamble on that game. USC's not ranked. USC would be Iowa. North Carolina's behind Iowa. They're better than Iowa. Yes.
Dirt and Spray. Weekdays 6 to 9 a.m. on 1080 The Fan.
Now, here's a quick look at Portland traffic.
15-minute slowdowns if you're heading 205 northbound just before Stark Street, making your way to I-5. Also, if you're heading towards Airport Way, it's going to be another 15-minute commute. That's traffic. I'm Ken Luttrell.
Isaac Ropp with an idea for Duck fans. Why not elevate your game day experience by mixing in a little golf and great food? Make it a full Saturday. Grab the clubs, play golf at Langdon Farms in Wilsonville, then a few tasty nibbles before hitting I-5. Langdon Farms, just off I-5 in Wilsonville.
When looking for new construction, you want to make your dreams come alive. You want innovation and sustainability that knows no bounds. You want to work with masters of their craft. You want Mods PDX. Mods PDX works with homebuyers, architects, and developers to create beautiful, sustainable, and energy-efficient buildings of the highest quality. With our modular approach, your project will be completed sooner than traditional construction, creating a faster return on investment. Work with a team that is focused on collaboration, innovation, and creativity to create your dream. Go to modspdx.com to start your project today.
If the last few years have taught us anything, it's that human connection means the world. By connecting with one another, we know
record is 19-26. He has lost 26 units. 3-3 last week for -2 units. I am 15-16, -11 units. I was 1-3 last week for -9 units. Not great. Buck, 31-30 overall, +9 units. He was 6-3 last week, +11 units. So he did pretty good. And then Schulte joined us last week, and he'll be in with us for the remainder of the football season, it sounds like, before Buck gets back. And he went 1-2, -2 units. Now, I gotta tell you something, guys. I feel bad about this. I do. Because I was just checking my my Pick'em League. I do a Yahoo Pick'em League with some buddies. My record is 80-56 picking NFL games. So that's the confidence point one. 59%. I'm still alive in Survivor. Went to Vegas a couple weekends ago, went 12-3 and brought home some cash. Yet on this show, I cannot hit consistently, and I vow to change that for you now. All you have to do is Venmo me $100, and I can guarantee you that I have 3 locks of Gibraltar this weekend.
Critical information confirmed.
Yeah, that guy. Freaking John Anthony.
And Tim Donaghy now.
Yeah, Tim Donaghy's giving out NBA picks. I mean, what is happening?
Love to go 5-0 on a recorded line.
Look, here's my thing about sports betting. Never tail anyone. Do your own homework, have your own thoughts. It's your money. Nobody knows better than anybody else. Guys get hot, guys get cold. In the end, even the best sports gamblers, they win a lot, but they also lose a lot, and they hopefully have money left over from, being smart with their bankroll and getting the better of lines that they win 55% of the time, and that's how they make money. So when you're seeing a guy go, "Oh, I'm 9-0, you got to follow," that doesn't mean he's not going to lose the next 9. So just do your own homework, do your own research, stick with it, trust it, and don't bet more than you can afford to lose.
And sometimes take a break like Suk is taking. I mean, seriously, if you feel like I'm on a crappy streak, don't be the ass that thinks, "Oh, I can make it up next week." That is
never chase.
Behavior.
Never
No,
chase.
Don't do that.
And by the way, I was joking about the Venmo thing. Do not Venmo.
No.
I was joking.
Well, I don't see a QR code or anything like that, so hopefully they knew.
All right. Well, Buck has sent me his picks, so it's nothing from Suk. So it'll just be Rop, Buck, and Schulte. Buck's first one in college is Bucky Irving over 101.5 rushing yards against USC. Now, he got this bet from Bovada. That's not available on DraftKings here in Oregon.
I use Bovada.
But we're going to let him play that. That's a 5-unit play for him. So he's going Bucky Irving over 101.5. I don't hate it. He's also on Michigan -4 for 4 units at Penn State. He wants the Rutgers, Iowa under 28.5 for 3 units. He is on Cal hosting Washington State. Cal is -1 for 2 units. And Arizona State +17 at UCLA for 1 unit. Those are his college picks. Now let's start with that Rutgers, Iowa game. I'm actually going to play the over. That is going to be one of my picks this week. And I'm going to do 3 units on this. Rutgers, Iowa over 28.5. And the only reason I am doing this is because no one else is. So fading the public here. The whole world believes that this game will go under. It is the lowest point total in betting history, and there's a reason it's so low, of course. But there is also a reason it's a record, and it's because they never get this low, which to me offers value on the over. So here's what I think is going to happen. This game goes to overtime. Rutgers will win it 19-13, and the overtime tutty will cover the number. How about that?
Back door.
Let's go. 3 units, Rutgers, Iowa, over. Beat that, Schulte.
I'm going all NFL this week.
Okay.
So I got 3
Wait,
NFL picks.
Okay, so if you're going to go NFL, let me roll out my other college.
That's great.
And then we'll get to the league, and then we got to go.
Sounds good.
Okay. 5 units on Kansas -4. I feel great about it. My Jayhawks are only 1 game back in a wide open Big 12 race. They need this one. They are at home hosting Texas Tech and only laying 4. Now, both teams are on backup quarterbacks. But Kansas's backup quarterback is pretty good. Jason Bean is 20th in the country in QBR. Tech's offense is 51st, but it's turned it over a lot, and it's been very inconsistent without Tyler Shuck. The Kansas offense, here's the key. They're 22nd in the country, but they run the ball really well. The pressure is not all on that quarterback. And with a money running game, I think they will keep the ball out of Tech's hands and keep their defense fresh at home with a ton to play for while Tech's season is slipping away. They're laying less than a touchdown. I love Kansas this week. 5 units, Kansas -4. They will win this game 45-31. All right, Schultz, let's tee up some NFL.
All right. I just feel like the college slate, it's going to be an exciting one, but there's just so much potential for random stuff to happen. So I'm staying away from everything in college.
Blah. Love that.
All right, first game I'm going with. I think this is the easiest pick of the weekend. I'm shocked that not everybody's throwing money at this, and the line has gone down to like 2 or
Intrigued. Tell us more.
Jacksonville +3 at home against San Francisco. And a home dog.
Wow.
Against the San Francisco 49ers here.
Okay.
Sounds like the NFL has, at least defense-wise, has started to figure out a little bit of what Brock Purdy's doing, and they're leaning a little bit more on Christian McCaffrey to get some offense. I'm not predicting a great Sunday for Brock Purdy, so I do think Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence, he's been amazing this last few games, so I think Jacksonville +3 for 5 units over San Francisco.
Okay, well, that's interesting you bring that up because my only other play is San Francisco -3 for 5, bitch. Here's what I think. I disagree with you, man. I think both teams, we know both teams are off a bye.
That's true.
But I feel like when you go into a bye fat and happy like the Jags, they'd won however many in a row, you can lose your edge. Meanwhile, the Niners go into a bye having dropped 3 straight, and they're pissed off. Now, both of these teams are good. I'm not doubting the Jags are good, although I have watched them a little inconsistent on offense so far this year. But San Francisco is still top 5 in offense and defense. Now, Deebo Samuel is back. That's huge. Chase Young is added, and it sounds like Trent Williams may be back. I will lay the 3. I'll take Kyle Shanahan off a bye. Anytime this Niners roster is pissed, rested, and focused, I'm going to take them. That's a short number to lay. I'll lay it all day. I think San Francisco wins this game 30-17 in Jacksonville. So I'm going to go San Fran for 5, and that's it for me. I'm on Kansas, San Francisco, and the Rutgers, Iowa over. No picks for Suk. Buck's NFL picks, he likes Falcons -2 at Arizona for 3 units. He's on the Lions at the Chargers. The Lions are -3 for 3 units. I toyed with that one. And then Colts Patriots under 42.5 for 3. That game is in Germany, and I think he always just likes to bet the under for the
foreign
Europe
games.
So those are his NFL picks. Last but not least, Schultze with his final few.
I just got 2 more quickly, and yeah, man, you're betting on San Francisco even with the underutilization of Deebo Samuel and George Kittle all year. So it's a risky play, but I like it. My final 2, this one seems fairly simple to me. Ravens -6.5 versus Cleveland. The last time they played the Cleveland Browns this year, Ravens beat them 27-3. I know Cleveland has a good defense. I know they've been able to score points, but it don't happen against Lambjack and the Ravens. We're looking at his second possible MVP, so I think they're going to handle business again after absolutely slaughtering the Seahawks last weekend. And then my last pick.
Wait, how many units was that?
Oh, sorry, 3 units on that one.
Did you call him Lambjack?
Yeah.
I love that.
Lamar
is that
Jackson.
a thing?
It is.
Lambjack?
It is. And then, my last pick would be Houston to cover 6.5 versus Cincinnati. They're on the road, but, man, Joe Burrow doesn't have at least one of his top weapons, and the other one, I don't think he's going to be fully 100%. So Houston +6.5 with their rookie of the year in C.J. Stroud.
For 3?
For 2. That is
For 2.
only 2 I have left.
I was toying with Houston. That's an interesting one because that's a trap game. Cincinnati's coming off the game against big game, night game against Buffalo. Next week, they're a Thursday night against Baltimore. So, and then Houston comes to town. They could easily have a letdown game here. And Houston's not bad with Stroud. So I don't hate your play there. I don't hate your play there, Schultze. Those are our picks for Roppin' the Bank. No picks from Suk as he is taking the week off. He'll be back on Tuesday. Duck basketball is coming up next. We, Schultze and I, will see you Monday 3 to 7 on the Fan. Good night.
Stanford's Happy Hour is back and better than ever. For $6, $8, $10, or $12, you can get classics like Stanford's Wings or a new addition like the Tavern Cruise Burger. 3 to 6 or 8 to close daily at Stanford's in Clackamas or Tannisbourne. Online at stanfords.com.
Papa Murphy's. Change the way you pizza.
This Odyssey Sports broadcast is presented by Health Markets. Shop for health insurance your way.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Ducks basketball.
Leadership's so important when you face adversity.
Left wing three is good from Kusnar. You pass. Dante.
Doesn't have to be one